Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to review Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read Maps by Allan and Barbara Pease. This is non-fiction, so there's no real plot here. It's just a book about the natural biological differences between men and women's brains. Now I can almost already hear my female viewers shouting, "Oh my god, that is so not true, women can read maps, you misogynist, narrow-minded piece of shit." So I think we need to have a quick word about the title. It's an exaggeration. Women can, of course, read maps, but studies have shown that on average, men have less difficulty reading maps than women do. For instance, a lot of women, when using a map, will rotate the map so that they'll be facing the same direction in real life and on the map. Whereas many men will instead hold the map so that you can still read the names of the road, but then twist the map inside their head so that they know that if the map says you have to walk in this direction, then that direction, that means you have to walk straight ahead, then right. Likewise, men do listen. Notice these. But again, it's an exaggeration because men aren't as good as women at concentrating on two different things simultaneously. So there are times when we'll be like, sorry, what? So getting back to the book. Content-wise, it's a great book. It's a real eye-opener and it teaches you to look at the world in a completely different way. After reading it, I spent a lot of time paying attention to the world around me and seeing confirming evidence of the things I've read. Sometimes you'll read and wonder because what you've just read has just added meaning to something you've experienced in the past. And sometimes you'll just laugh because of how true some of it is. It's a great guide for men and women to understanding each other. And I suspect that for people who are married, it can also be a quite good way to improve how well you get along. Imagine what a world we would live in if men could understand what women mean by indirect talk, and women could understand that sometimes it's better to just say things plainly the way they are. In other words, if men could understand that you don't have to buy me a present means I do want you to buy me a present, but if I say that then you'll feel like I've forced you to, and I don't want you to buy me a present because you have to, but I want you to buy me one just because you feel like you want to. And women could understand that you want Chinese takeaway doesn't mean I actually feel like having Chinese takeaway myself, but I don't feel like I can impose it on you, so I'd rather ask if you want it and then see if you agree with me. But simply means it's a question. Do you want Chinese takeaway? But back to the book. I've explained why I like what the book talks about. Now, what I don't like is how it talks about it. My first problem is that even though this book does take a scientific approach to the issue, then it still feels very commercial. The way it's written, it's like the book is trying to sell itself, which I find annoying because I've already bought the book. Throughout the book you have these small little snippets of text on almost every page, as if to just catch your attention if you were in the bookstore just flipping through it. And some of them are related to the text, some of them are highlights, some of them are things that have already been said, some of them are something that is needed in the text, and some of them are just jokes that have no relation to the text whatsoever. Why did Moses spend 40 years wandering the desert? He refused to ask for directions. On top of that, the book contains a lot of funny illustrations and even a few pop quizzes, which just makes it feel like the book doesn't take itself seriously. So what do you do when you need to add some credibility to your text? Dump in a load of statistics! Now, granted, this isn't always a bad idea, but when you add as many as you have in this book, in the end it just becomes confusing, misleading, or irrelevant. Take this one. Tests show that women rate 3% higher in general intelligence than men. Okay, I trust the validity of the study, but what does it mean to measure intelligence in percent? But okay, at least this way of writing a book means it's more accessible to the general public. But my second problem with how it was written, what really got on my nerves, was its pronounced unfairness in the way it describes the difference between men and women. In this book, man becomes this stupid, aggressive creature who has no skill in communication whatsoever and whose only pleasures are derived from watching TV and having sex. While woman is at the other end of the spectrum, described as this near perfect being who can talk and write so much better than man can, who excels at multitasking, and who is so much better at understanding, feeling and reading emotions. I'm exaggerating a little bit here, but there is a clear tendency to favour the woman in this book. But that's okay, I don't have a problem with that. They've been stomped on for so many centuries that it's only fair if they get the credit they deserve. But then we get to the chapter on spatial ability, and just after they pointed out that the majority of women have limited spatial ability, they say the following. To some people, this research may appear sexist because we will be discussing the kind of strengths and abilities at which males excel and the pursuits and occupations which in biology has given them the clear advantage. Later, however, we will look at areas where women have the upper hand. Oh my god, they even apologise when they reach a point where men may finally have an advantage. I'm just saying, in the name of scientific objectivity, they could have made it a little less one-sided. But okay, if you're willing to ignore that the style may be a little bit biased and just take it for what it is, then it's a quite good book and it's got a lot of insights in it and very valuable information. If you're looking for a more systematic approach to this problem of the difference between men and women, then you might want to try something else. But this one is definitely very accessible, and so yeah, it's a good read. I don't know if I would buy more of their books because this seems a bit like they're running out of things to say at the end, but one is definitely worth it. That ends my review of Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read Maps. Next review coming up very soon. How to satisfy a woman every time. Caress, praise, pamper, relish, savour, massage, fix things, empathise, serenade, compliment, support, feed, soothe, tantalise, humour, placate, stimulate, stroke, console, hug, ignore fat bits, coddle, excite, pacify, protect, phone, anticipate, smooch, nuzzle, forgive, accessorise, entertain, charm, carry for, oblige, fascinate, attend to, trust, defend, clothe, brag about, sanctify, acknowledge, spoil, embrace, die for, dream of, tease, gratify, squeeze, indulge, idolise, worship. How to satisfy a man every time. Arrive naked. Oh, come on!